Mara hadn't eaten in 2 days. Not because she was on some diet. Not because she forgot. Because the eviction notice taped to her door said she had 6 days left. 6 days to come up with $2,000 she didn't have. And when you're that broke, you start making choices. Rent or food. Electricity or groceries. Survival isn't pretty. It's just math. Cold, brutal math. She stood outside the glass tower on 5th Avenue, staring up at 40 floors of wealth she'd never touch. Her reflection in the window looked hollow. Dark circles under her eyes. Cheekbones sharper than they should be. Her only blazer hung loose on her shoulders. She'd lost weight. Too much weight. But she straightened her spine, smoothed down her skirt, and walked through those golden revolving doors like she belonged there. Because that's what you do when you're desperate. You pretend. The conference room was on the 38th floor. Floor-to-ceiling windows. A table that could seat 20 people. Chairs that probably cost more than her entire apartment. Mara sat at the far end, clutching her portfolio with white knuckles. This was her shot. One meeting. One pitch. One chance to land a contract that could save her. The board members filed in. Expensive suits. Expensive watches. Expensive indifference. They barely looked at her. And then he walked in. Mara felt it before she saw him. A shift in the room. Like the air pressure changed. He wasn't part of the board. She'd memorized every name, every face. He wasn't supposed to be here. But he walked to the head of the table and sat down like he owned it. Because he probably did. Dark suit, perfectly tailored. Dark hair, touched with gray at the temples. A face carved from stone and shadows. And eyes that pinned her in place the second they found her. He didn't introduce himself. Didn't smile. Just watched her with the cold, calculating focus of a man who'd learned to read people the way other men read newspapers. "Ms. Chun," the chairman said, barely glancing up from his phone. "You have 10 minutes. 10 minutes to save her life." Mara stood. Her hands shook slightly as she opened her portfolio. She'd practiced this pitch 100 times. In her apartment. In the shower. Walking to the subway. But now, standing in front of these men who didn't care whether she lived or died, the words felt like dust in her mouth. She started talking. Marketing strategies. Demographic analysis. Projected revenue increases. Her vision blurred slightly. She blinked it away. Keep going. Just keep going. 5 minutes in, she felt the room tilt. Just a little. Just enough to make her grab the edge of the table. The man at the head, the one who shouldn't be there, leaned forward slightly. Mara pushed through. Her voice sounded distant in her own ears. 7 minutes. The words on her notes started swimming. 8 minutes. Her stomach cramped. Her hands went cold. 9 minutes. She opened her mouth to deliver her closing statement. And the floor disappeared. Darkness. Voices filtering through like she was underwater. Should call an ambulance. No. That voice was different. Colder. Final. "Sir, she needs." I said no. Mara tried to open her eyes. Everything was heavy. Her body felt like it belonged to someone else. She felt hands. Strong. Careful. Lifting her. The smell of expensive cologne. The sound of a door closing. Then nothing. When consciousness came back, it came in pieces. Soft sheets. Too soft. Cool air against her skin. The distant sound of traffic, muffled by thick glass. Mara's eyes opened slowly. A ceiling. High. Ornate crown molding. A chandelier that probably cost more than a car. This wasn't a hospital. She sat up too fast. The room spun violently. Easy. The voice came from her left. Mara's head snapped toward the sound. Him. The man from the meeting. He was sitting in a leather chair near the window, one leg crossed over the other, hands folded in his lap. Perfectly still. Perfectly controlled. Like a statue that had learned to breathe. "Where am I?" Her voice came out rough. Dry. "My home." That's not an answer. Something flickered in his eyes. Not quite amusement. But close. "You collapsed during a business meeting. I brought you somewhere you could recover." Mara's heart started pounding. She looked around the room. Expensive furniture. Locked windows. A door that was probably locked too. "You kidnapped me. I prevented you from waking up in a public hospital with no insurance and a bill you couldn't pay." He said it matter-of-factly, like he was discussing the weather. She stared at him. "You don't know anything about me. I know you wore the same blazer to 3 different meetings this month. I know you take the subway 45 minutes each way instead of a cab. I know you haven't eaten properly in weeks." Mara's blood went cold. "You've been watching me?" I pay attention. He stood. The movement was fluid, economical, like everything about him. There's water on the nightstand. Food will be brought up shortly. A doctor checked you while you were unconscious. Severe dehydration and malnutrition. Nothing permanent if you're smart about recovery. I want to leave. No, you don't. The certainty in his voice made her anger spike. You don't get to tell me what I want. He walked toward the door. Stopped. Turned back. You can leave whenever you want. The door isn't locked. But before you do, ask yourself where you're going. Back to an apartment you'll be evicted from in 6 days? Back to skipping meals so you can keep a roof over your head? Each word landed like a physical blow. I'm giving you a choice, he said quietly. Stay here. Recover. Figure out your next move without wondering where your next meal comes from. Or leave now and go back to drowning. Mara's throat tightened. Why do you care? For the first time, she saw hesitation in his face. It lasted maybe 2 seconds. But it was there. I don't know yet, he said. And then he left. The door clicked shut behind him. Mara sat in that enormous bed, in that enormous room, and for the first time in months, she cried. Not because she was scared, but because someone had noticed she was drowning. And no one had noticed in so long. Would you trust him? Day 1. Mara woke up to sunlight streaming through windows that overlooked half the city. A woman in her 50s entered carrying a tray. Silver-haired, kind eyes, professional demeanor. Good morning, Miss Chin. I'm Mrs. Park. I manage the household. She set the tray down. Fresh fruit, eggs, toast, orange juice, real food. Mara's stomach clenched with hunger. Where is he? She asked. Mr. Kade had business to attend to. He'll return this evening. Kade. So that was his name. Mrs. Park moved to the windows, opening them slightly. You're welcome to explore the apartment. The eastern wing is private, but the rest is accessible. Am I a prisoner or a guest? Mrs. Park's expression softened. That depends on whether you feel trapped by kindness or threatened by it. She left before Mara could respond. Mara ate slowly. Each bite felt like a small rebellion against the part of her that said she didn't deserve this. When she finished, she explored. The penthouse was massive. Multiple bedrooms. A library with floor-to-ceiling bookshelves. A kitchen that looked like it belonged in a restaurant. And security. Everywhere. Cameras in the hallways. Guards stationed at certain doors. Technology she didn't understand embedded in the walls. This wasn't just a home. It was a fortress. What kind of man needed this much protection? Day 2. Mara still hadn't seen him. Mrs. Park brought meals. A doctor visited to check her vitals. Everything was professional. Polite. Distant. But at night, she heard sounds. Voices in other parts of the apartment. Low conversations. The occasional door closing. He was here. Somewhere. Just avoiding her. On the 3rd morning, Mara made a decision. She wasn't going to sit in this golden cage waiting for answers. She found Mrs. Park in the kitchen. I want to see him. Mrs. Park didn't look up from chopping vegetables. Mr. Kade is very busy. I don't care. He brought me here. He owes me a conversation. Mr. Kade doesn't owe anyone anything, dear. The words were gentle, but absolute. Mara felt frustration bubble up. Then I'm leaving. Are you? Mrs. Park finally looked at her. Where will you go? That's not your concern. You're right. It's not. She went back to chopping. The front door is unlocked. It always has been. Mara stood there, anger and confusion warring inside her. She walked to the front door, put her hand on the handle, pulled. It opened. Beyond it, a private elevator. And beyond that, the city. Her life. Her problems. Everything she'd been running from. Mara stood in that doorway for 5 full minutes. Then she closed the door and went back inside. Day 4. She found the library. Wall-to-wall books. First editions. Leather-bound classics. Modern thrillers. Philosophy. History. Everything. Mara ran her fingers along the spines and found one pulled slightly out. She opened it. Inside, a piece of paper. Handwritten notes in sharp, angular script. The problem with power is that it makes you forget what powerlessness feels like. She knew that handwriting. The note he'd left with the check. Mara pulled out more books. Found more notes. Dozens of them. Thoughts. Observations. Confessions written to no one. I watched a man beg for his life today. I didn't help him. I don't know if that makes me evil or just realistic. My sister used to say everyone deserves a second chance. She was wrong. Some people only get one. And they waste it. The loneliest feeling isn't being alone. It's being surrounded by people who need you but don't know you. Mara sat on the floor, reading note after note. This man, this dangerous, controlled man, was leaving pieces of his soul in books no one else read. You found my confessional. She jumped. Kade stood in the doorway, still in a suit, tie loosened. He looked exhausted. I didn't mean to. You did. He walked in, hands in his pockets. You're curious. That's why you're still here. Mara stood, clutching one of the notes. Why do you write these? Because saying them out loud feels like weakness. And writing them doesn't? Writing them feels like screaming into a void. No one hears. No one judges. He looked at the note in her hand. Which one is that? She read it aloud. The hardest part of being powerful is pretending you chose it. Silence stretched between them. Did you? She asked quietly. Choose this? Kade's jaw tightened. No one chooses the life they're born into. They just decide whether to fight it or become it. Which did you do? He looked at her for a long moment. I became it. And then I realized I couldn't remember who I was before. That night, everything changed. Kade didn't leave after their conversation in the library. Instead, he asked if she wanted dinner. Not a command. A question. They ate in a dining room that could seat 30, but they sat at one end of the table, close enough to talk without shouting. Mrs. Park served them and disappeared. For the first few minutes, they ate in silence. Then Mara spoke. Why marketing? He looked up. What? The meeting where I collapsed. Your company doesn't need outside marketing consultation. You have a whole department for that. A ghost of a smile. You did your research. I always do. I was there because I wanted to see who had the audacity to pitch to us after 3 other firms turned the project down. And I saw someone who was starving but still showed up. Someone who knew the odds and tried anyway. He paused. That interested me. Mara set down her fork. So you what? Decided to collect me? I decided you were worth not letting die on a conference room floor. The bluntness of it stole her breath. I watched my sister collapse once, he said quietly, staring at his wine glass. In a courthouse, during a hearing that would determine whether she kept custody of her daughter. Mara's heart clenched. She was sick, had been for months. But she didn't tell anyone because she thought showing weakness would make her lose her child. His fingers tightened around the glass. She collapsed in front of the judge, in front of everyone. And you know what they did? Mara shook her head. They recessed, stepped over her, went to lunch. Silence. I was 17. I screamed at them, begged them to help. The bailiff pulled me back, said the paramedics were coming, that everything would be fine. He finally looked up. His eyes were devastated. She died 3 hours later. Brain aneurysm. If someone had helped her immediately, she might have lived. Mara couldn't breathe. So when I saw you fall, he continued, voice rough, I didn't see a stranger. I saw her. And I couldn't. He stopped. Swallowed. I won't watch that happen again. Tears burned Mara's eyes. I'm sorry, she whispered. Don't be sorry. Just don't collapse again. It should have sounded harsh. But it sounded broken. They sat in silence for a long time. Then Mara spoke. My father died when I was 16. Heart attack. Sudden. Kade listened. My mother remarried a year later. A man who didn't want me around. So I left. Got a job. Put myself through college. She laughed bitterly. I thought if I worked hard enough, everything would work out. But it didn't. No, it didn't. Because hard work doesn't matter when the system is rigged against you. Kade nodded slowly. The world isn't fair to people who start at the bottom. No, it's not. Another silence. But this one felt different. Like they'd both opened wounds and let the other see. What would you do in her place? Over the next week, Mara learned the rules of Silas Kade's world. Rule number 1, don't ask about his business. She learned this when she mentioned seeing men in suits leave his private office at 2 in the morning. Mrs. Park's face went carefully blank. Mr. Kade handles many affairs. It's best not to inquire. Translation, don't dig. Rule number 2, don't go into the eastern wing. That part of the penthouse was locked. Always. Even Mrs. Park didn't have access. Mara asked Kade about it once. That's where I keep things that are better left alone, he said. Like what? Like answers to questions you don't want to ask. Rule number 3, trust no one but him. This one, he told her directly. They were having coffee in his study. 3 a.m. Neither of them could sleep. If something happens to me, he said, you leave. Immediately. Don't trust anyone who says they're here to help you. Why would something happen to you? He looked at her over the rim of his cup. Because I've made a lot of enemies, Mara. Powerful ones. It was the first time he'd used her first name. She wasn't sure how to feel about it. What kind of enemies? The kind that don't forgive. And you think they'd come after me? If they knew you mattered to me? Yes. Her heart skipped. Do I matter to you? Kade set down his cup slowly. I don't know yet, but I'm not willing to find out by getting you killed. It wasn't a confession of love, but it was something. Mara started noticing things. The way guards straightened when Kade walked by. The way phone calls ended abruptly when she entered a room. The way Mrs. Park sometimes had bruises on her wrists that she covered with long sleeves. One night, Mara couldn't sleep. She wandered the penthouse and heard voices. Kade's office. She shouldn't have listened. But she did. Can't keep doing this, Silas. A man's voice. Older. Tired. I don't have a choice, Marcus. There's always a choice. Not for me. Not anymore. Then what about her? Silence. She's not part of this. She's living in your home. That makes her part of it. I'm protecting her. You're painting a target on her back. Mara's blood went cold. Then what do you suggest? Kade's voice was sharp now. Dangerous. Send her away. Give her money. Set her up somewhere safe. But get her out of your life before they find out she exists. No. Silas. I said no. Footsteps. Coming toward the door. Mara ran. Back to her room. Heart pounding. Mind racing. Who were they? What had she walked into? And why was Kade willing to risk his life to keep her here? The next morning, everything felt different. Kade was gone before Mara woke up. Mrs. Park was quieter than usual. The guards watched her more carefully. Something had shifted. Mara spent the day in the library, trying to distract herself. But her mind kept circling back to that conversation. She's painting a target on her back. At 4 p.m., there was a knock on her bedroom door. Not Mrs. Park. A guard. Young. Nervous. Someone left this for you. He handed her an envelope. Who? It was slipped under the service entrance door. He left before she could ask more. Mara stared at the envelope. No name. No return address. Just her room number written in block letters. She opened it. Inside, a photograph. Her. Leaving the penthouse building 3 days ago to take a walk. She'd been with 2 guards. Perfectly safe. But someone had been watching. On the back of the photo, a message. Beautiful cage. But still a cage. Leave now, or you'll never leave at all. Mara's hands shook. She ran to find Mrs. Park. Where's Kade? Mr. Kade is in a meeting. I don't care. Where is he? Mrs. Park's face shifted. She saw the photo in Mara's hand. Come with me. Kade's private office. Mara had never been inside. It was darker than the rest of the apartment. Leather and wood. A desk that looked like a fortress. And Kade, standing by the window, phone to his ear. He turned when they entered. Saw Mara's face. Ended the call immediately. What happened? She handed him the photo. His expression didn't change. But his eyes went cold. Deadly cold. When did you get this? 20 minutes ago. He looked at Mrs. Park. Locked down the building. No one in or out without my clearance. Yes, sir. She left. Kade turned back to Mara. Did you see who delivered it? No. A guard said it was slipped under the service door. He swore quietly. Pulled out his phone. Made 3 calls in rapid succession. Mara watched him transform. The man who'd shared his pain over dinner was gone. This was someone else. Someone carved from ice and fury. When he finished, he looked at her. Pack a bag. Light. Only essentials. What? You're leaving. Tonight. Her stomach dropped. You're sending me away? I'm keeping you alive. I thought you said the penthouse was safe. It was safe. Before they found out you existed. He moved to his desk, pulling out files. Documents. I have a property upstate. Isolated. Secure. You'll stay there until I handle this. Handle what? Who are they? Kade stopped. Looked at her. And for the first time since she'd met him, he looked afraid. People I've spent 10 years avoiding. People who want me dead. He paused. And now they know the fastest way to hurt me is through you. Mara's breath caught. So I do matter to you. Yes. The word came out rough. Painful. And that's the problem. The drive took 3 hours. Kade drove. 2 cars followed. Security. Mara sat in the passenger seat, watching the city disappear behind them. Why didn't you just let me leave that first day? She asked quietly. I should have. But you didn't. No. Why? Kade's hands tightened on the steering wheel. Because I'm selfish. Because I don't know what I wanted. Company. Someone who didn't know what I'd done. Someone who looked at me like I was human. His voice cracked on the last word. Mara stared at him. You are human, Kade. Am I? He laughed bitterly. I've killed people, Mara. Ordered deaths. Destroyed lives. I've done things that would make you run screaming if you knew the details. Then tell me. No. Why? Because I want you to keep looking at me the way you do now. Just a little longer. Her heart broke. They drove in silence for a long time. The safe house was a cabin buried in the woods. No neighbors for miles. Solar panels. A generator. Enough supplies to last months. A prison or a sanctuary, depending on how you looked at it. Kade's men swept the property. Set up surveillance. Established a perimeter. Mara stood in the main room, feeling very small. Kade approached. You'll be safe here. How long? I don't know. And you? I have to go back. Handle the threat. Fear spiked through her. What if they kill you? He smiled sadly. Then Marcus will contact you. He'll make sure you're taken care of. I don't want to be taken care of. She stopped. What did she want? Kade stepped closer. What? Mara looked up at him. This man who'd saved her. Protected her. Painted a target on her back just by caring. I want you to come back. Something in his face crumbled. He reached out. Slowly. Gave her time to pull away. She didn't. His fingers brushed her cheek. Gentle. Reverent. I'll try, he whispered. It wasn't a promise. But it was all he could give. Kade left an hour later. Mara stood at the window, watching his car disappear into the trees. And for the first time since this whole nightmare began, she realized something. She wasn't afraid of being alone. She was afraid of him not coming back. Is he protecting her, or has she started protecting him? Day 1. Mara explored the cabin. It was bigger than it looked. 3 bedrooms. A fully stocked kitchen. A basement armory that made her blood run cold. What kind of life required this much preparation for violence? Day 2. She found a laptop. Password protected. But there was a sticky note underneath. If you need to reach me, use this. Password, Westbrook 2012. Westbrook. His sister's last name, maybe? Mara opened the laptop. A single encrypted messaging app. She typed, I'm here. I'm safe. 3 hours later. Good. Stay inside. Don't trust anyone. Day 3. No messages. Mara tried to read. Tried to sleep. Tried to stop imagining all the ways Kade could die. Day 4. Finally a message. Still alive. Making progress. How are you holding up? She typed back, bored. Scared. Worried about you. Don't be. I'm harder to kill than I look. That's not reassuring. It's the truth. Day 5. She told him about the books she was reading. The terrible cooking experiments she was attempting. He told her nothing about what he was doing. But he messaged more frequently. Like he needed the connection as much as she did. Day 6. Do you ever wish you'd never walked into that meeting? He asked. Mara stared at the screen for a long time. No. Do you wish you'd never helped me? Every day. Her heart sank. Then, but I'd do it again anyway. Day 7. The messages stopped. Mara waited. 6 hours. 12 hours. 24 hours. Nothing. Panic set in. She tried calling the number he'd given her for emergencies. Straight to voicemail. She paced the cabin like a caged animal. On day 8, at 3 a.m., she heard a car. Mara grabbed the gun Kade had left her. Hands shaking. The door opened. And there he was. Alive. Bleeding. But alive. Jesus Christ, Kade. Mara dropped the gun and ran to him. He was holding his side. Blood seeping through his shirt. It's not as bad as it looks, he said. You're bleeding. I've had worse. She helped him to the couch. Started pulling off his jacket. There's a medical kit in the bathroom, he said through gritted teeth. Mara ran. Grabbed it. Came back. Her hands shook as she cut away his shirt. A knife wound. Long but shallow. He'd already applied pressure. Stopped the worst of the bleeding. You need a hospital. No hospitals. Kade. I said no. His voice was hard. Final. Mara cleaned the wound. Her hands steadied as she worked. She'd watched YouTube videos once. After her father died. In case she ever needed to help someone. She never thought she actually would. Who did this? She asked quietly. Someone who won't do it again. The coldness in his voice sent chills down her spine. Did you kill them? Silence. Then, yes. Mara's hands paused. Just for a second. Then she kept working. Kade watched her face. Does that change things? I don't know, she said honestly. Does it matter? It should. She finished bandaging the wound. Sat back. You're not who I thought you were when we met, she said. I know. But you're also not who I thought you were last week. He looked at her. Confused. Mara met his eyes. You're not a monster, Kade. Monsters don't write confessions in library books. Monsters don't cry over their dead sister. Monsters don't drive 3 hours to put someone in a safe house. You don't know what I've done. You're right. I don't. But I know what you've done for me. And I know you came back even though you didn't have to. Kade's jaw clenched. I had to. I promised I'd try. Most people don't keep promises like that. I'm not most people. No, you're not. They stared at each other. And something shifted. Something irreversible. Kade stayed for 2 days. Healing. Resting. They talked more in those 2 days than they had in weeks. About his sister. Her name was Grace. She had a daughter, Kade's niece, who was being raised by Grace's ex-husband now. Do you ever see her? Mara asked. No. It's safer if I don't. That must kill you. Every day. About his business. He didn't tell her everything. But enough. I inherited my father's empire, he said. Not because I wanted it. Because refusing it would have gotten me killed. So you run it. I survive it. There's a difference. About the people hunting him. They're called the Syndicate. Old money. Old power. They think I've gotten too big. Too independent. He paused. They're not wrong. And they won't stop. Not unless I make them. How do you make people like that stop? Kade looked at her. You don't want to know. On the third morning, Mara woke to find him dressed. Ready to leave. It's not over yet, he said. But I've bought us time. How much time? Enough. He moved to the door. Stopped. Turned back. When this is finished, he said quietly, you can leave. I'll set you up. Anywhere you want. New identity if you need it. You'll be free. Mara's throat tightened. What if I don't want to leave? You should want to leave. You should run as far from me as possible. But what if I don't? Kade crossed the room in 3 strides. He cupped her face in his hands. Looked at her like she was the most precious and dangerous thing he'd ever held. Then I'd be the luckiest and most selfish man alive, he whispered. And he kissed her. Not soft. Not gentle. Desperate. Like a man drinking water after years in the desert. Mara kissed him back. Because she'd stopped lying to herself about what this was. This wasn't protection. This wasn't obligation. This was something neither of them had asked for. And neither of them could walk away from. Kade left. But this time he kept messaging. Every day. Multiple times. Checking in. Telling her about progress. I'm meeting with the Syndicate tomorrow. Neutral ground. Truce negotiations. Mara typed back. Is that safe? No. But it's necessary. What happens if it goes wrong? Then Marcus will contact you within 24 hours. He has instructions. Kade, don't. Don't what? Don't talk like you're already dead. Long pause. I'm not planning on dying, Mara. But I've learned to prepare for every outcome. I don't want your preparations. I want you alive. Another pause. I'll do my best. The meeting was scheduled for 8 p.m. on a Friday. Mara watched the clock like it was counting down to execution. 8 p.m., meeting starts. 8:30 p.m., no word. 9 p.m., still nothing. 9:30 p.m., her phone buzzed. Unknown number. Her heart stopped. She answered. Ms. Chin. This is Marcus. No. Is he? He's alive. Injured. But alive. Relief crashed through her so hard she had to sit down. Where is he? Private medical. Facility. The meeting was a trap. Syndicate tried to kill him. He got out, but barely. I need to see him. That's not possible right now. It's not safe. I don't care about safe. Where is he? Silence. Ms. Chun, with all due respect, you being there puts both of you at greater risk. Then let me talk to him. He's unconscious. Mara's eyes burned. When he wakes up, you tell him I'm coming. Give me the address or I'll find it myself. Marcus sighed. You sound just like Grace. Good. He gave her the address. Mara packed in 10 minutes. Called the security team Kade had left watching the perimeter. I need a ride. Now. Ma'am, our orders are to keep you here. Your orders are to protect me. I'll be less safe if I steal a car and drive myself. So either you take me, or you explain to Kade why you let me go alone. 5 minutes later, they were on the road. The medical facility was disguised as a corporate office building. Underground levels. Private doctors. No questions asked. Marcus met her in the lobby. Late 50s. Sharp suit. Tired eyes. He's going to kill me for letting you come, he said. He'll have to wake up first. Marcus almost smiled. This way. They took an elevator down 3 floors. The corridor smelled like antiseptic and secrets. Marcus stopped outside a door. He took 2 bullets. One grazed his ribs. The other lodged in his shoulder. They removed it. He'll recover. But it was close. How close? Another inch to the left, and we wouldn't be having this conversation. Mara's hands clenched. Who did this? The syndicate sent a team. Professional. Well-armed. Marcus paused. Silas killed 4 of them. His men took out the rest. And the syndicate? Declared war. The words hung in the air like a death sentence. Marcus opened the door. Kade looked smaller than he should. Hooked up to IVs. Bandages wrapped around his shoulder and ribs. Face pale. But breathing. Alive. Mara's legs almost gave out. She walked to his bedside. Sat in the chair someone had placed there. Took his hand. It was warm. Real. You absolute idiot, she whispered. You promised you'd try to stay alive. His fingers twitched slightly in hers. Marcus spoke from the doorway. I'll give you privacy. But Ms. Chun, you should know. This changes everything. The syndicate won't stop now. And Silas won't back down. This ends one of 2 ways. What ways? Either they're destroyed. Or he is. Marcus left. Mara sat there, holding Kade's hand, and realized something. She'd walked into that meeting 6 weeks ago looking for a job. She'd found something infinitely more dangerous. A reason to care whether someone lived or died. And in Kade's world, caring was the most dangerous thing you could do. Kade woke up at 4 a.m. Mara was still there, asleep in the chair, her hand still holding his. He stared at her for a long moment. Then carefully he squeezed her fingers. Mara's eyes opened. Instantly alert. You're awake. I'm awake. His voice was rough. Raw. How do you feel? Like I got shot twice. That's because you did, you idiot. Despite everything, he smiled. You're mad at me. You almost died. But I didn't. That's not the point. Tears were streaming down her face now. She didn't even bother wiping them away. Kade used his good arm to pull her closer. Come here. You're injured. I don't care. Mara carefully climbed onto the bed, curled into his side, avoiding his wounds. Kade wrapped his arm around her. I told you not to come, he said quietly. I don't follow orders well. I noticed. They lay there in silence. Then Kade spoke. Marcus told you about the war. Yes. You should leave. Tonight. I'll have him set you up somewhere. No. Mara. I said no. She lifted her head to look at him. I'm not leaving you to fight this alone. This isn't your fight. It became my fight the second they started targeting me to get to you. That's exactly why you need to go. If I leave, they still know I exist. They'll still use me against you. Whether I'm here or halfway around the world, I'm leverage. She paused. At least here you can protect me. Kade stared at her. You're insane. I'm practical. You're going to get yourself killed. So are you. We'll be reckless together. He laughed. Then winced. Don't make me laugh. It hurts. Then stop being ridiculous. Kade's expression turned serious. I can't promise you'll be safe. I don't want promises. I want the truth. The truth is this war will be brutal. Bloody. People will die. Probably people close to me. Possibly me. I know. And you still want to stay? Mara looked at this man who'd saved her life by accident and changed it on purpose. This dangerous, damaged, devoted man who wrote confessions in library books and killed people to protect what was his. I'm not staying because I want to be safe, she said quietly. I'm staying because losing you would be worse than any danger. Kade's breath caught. When did that happen? He whispered. I don't know. Somewhere between the collapse and now. Somewhere in all those late-night conversations and shared silences. She touched his face gently. You saw me when I was invisible. You fed me when I was starving. You kept me alive when I'd stopped caring if I was. That's not love, Mara. That's gratitude. You're right. The gratitude was first. She leaned closer. But this? This feeling that makes me drive 3 hours because I need to see you breathing? That's not gratitude. That's something much more dangerous. Kade closed his eyes. You're going to break my heart. How? By making me believe I deserve this. And then, when you finally see who I really am, you'll leave. And I'll have to live with knowing what I lost. Mara kissed him. Soft. Certain. Then I guess you'll have to show me who you really are, and trust me to stay anyway. Kade was released 3 days later. Not fully healed, but functional. He called a meeting the moment they returned to the penthouse. His inner circle. The people who'd fought for him. Bled for him. Marcus. 3 lieutenants. 2 security chiefs. And, to everyone's surprise, Mara. She stays, Kade said when Marcus raised an eyebrow. If we're planning my survival, she needs to hear it. The meeting room went quiet. Kade stood at the head of the table. Even injured, he commanded the space. The syndicate has made their move. They failed. Now they'll regroup and come harder. He pulled up a map on the screen. They have 5 operational bases in the city. Legitimate fronts. Underground networks. We've avoided direct conflict for years. That ends now. One of the lieutenants, a woman named Reyna, spoke up. You're talking about a full assault. I'm talking about dismantling them piece by piece. That's a war we might not win. We'll win. Because we have something they don't. What's that? Kade's eyes were cold. Nothing left to lose. Marcus shifted uncomfortably. Silas, if we commit to this, there's no going back. The syndicate has connections in every level of government. Police. Judges. Politicians. We'll be fighting an empire. Then we'll burn the empire down. Silence. Mara watched him transform into someone she barely recognized. This wasn't the man who'd kissed her in the cabin. This was the king of a criminal empire. Cold. Calculating. Willing to sacrifice anything to win. We start with their money, Kade continued. Hit their drug operations. Their trafficking routes. Their gambling rings. Bleed them dry. Then we move on their leadership. They'll retaliate, another lieutenant said. Let them. Every move they make will be 3 steps ahead. The meeting continued for 2 hours. Strategies. Targets. Contingencies. Mara listened to it all, and realized the man she'd fallen for was far more dangerous than she'd ever imagined. After the meeting, she found him in his study, staring out the window, alone. You're planning to kill a lot of people, she said quietly. Yes. Does that bother you? He turned. Every single one. But it won't stop me. Why? Because if I don't kill them, they'll kill everyone I care about. Starting with you. Mara walked closer. Is that what I am? Someone you care about. You know you are. Say it. Kade's jaw tightened. Why? Because I need to hear it. I need to know this is real before you walk into a war you might not walk out of. He crossed the room, pulled her close despite the pain in his shoulder. I care about you, he said roughly. More than I should. More than is safe. More than is smart. You've become the one thing I can't afford to lose. Then don't lose me. I'm trying not to. No. You're trying to protect me. There's a difference. What do you want me to do? Let me help. Absolutely not. Kade. No. You're not getting involved in this. I'm already involved. Not like this. Not in the violence. Mara pulled back. Looked at him. What can I do? I can't just sit here waiting to find out if you're alive or dead. Kade thought for a moment. There might be something, he said slowly. But it's risky. Everything about this is risky. The syndicate's main financial operations run through shell corporations. Legitimate businesses on paper. But the records are kept somewhere. Paper trails. Evidence. And if we find them, we expose them. Bring down their empire legally, while we dismantle it illegally. Where are the records? That's the problem. We don't know. But there's someone who might. A lawyer who used to work for them. She left 5 years ago. Went into hiding. You want me to find her? I want you to convince her to help us. Woman to woman. No threats. No violence. Just honesty. Mara understood. You think she'll talk to me because I'm not part of your world. I think she'll talk to you because you're the first honest thing I've had in my life in 10 years. Her name was Isabel Moretti. She lived in a small apartment in Queens under a fake name. Worked as a paralegal. Kept her head down. Stayed invisible. Mara found her at a coffee shop 3 blocks from her apartment. Early 40s. Dark hair going gray. Tired eyes that had seen too much. Mara sat down across from her. Ms. Moretti? The woman's face went pale. I don't know who you're talking about. Please. I'm not here to hurt you. I need your help. I can't help you. You don't even know what I'm asking. Isabel stood. I know exactly what you're asking. And the answer is no. I got out. I'm staying out. The syndicate is hunting someone I care about. They tried to kill him 3 days ago. They'll try again. And they won't stop until he's dead. That's not my problem. What if I told you we could bring them down? Actually destroy them? Isabel stopped. Turned. You can't destroy the syndicate. People have tried. They're all dead. Silas Kade isn't dead. Recognition flashed in Isabel's eyes. Kade is the one you're protecting? He's the one trying to end this war. Isabel laughed bitterly. By starting a bigger one? By finishing what should have ended years ago. They stared at each other. Isabel sat back down slowly. What do you want from me? Information. Records. Anything that can expose their operations. And you think I have that? I think you kept insurance. In case they ever came after you. Isabel's expression confirmed it. If I give you what I have, they'll know it came from me. They'll kill me. Not if they're already destroyed. That's a big if. It's the only chance any of us have. Isabel closed her eyes. Sat in silence for a long moment. When she opened them, they were filled with something Mara recognized. The same look she'd had standing outside that penthouse door weeks ago. The look of someone who'd stopped running and decided to fight. I have copies of financial records. Shell Corporation documents. Names of politicians they've bought. Judges. Police commissioners. She paused. Everything you'd need to bury them legally. Where? Safety deposit box. Different bank. Different name. Will you get them for me? Isabel looked at her. Really looked at her. Who are you? Really? Someone who collapsed during a meeting and woke up in a world I didn't understand. Someone who fell for a man who's more broken than I am. Someone who's tired of watching good people suffer while monsters win. Isabel smiled sadly. You sound like me. 10 years ago. What happened? I learned that fighting monsters turns you into one. Did it? I don't know anymore. Mara reached across the table. Took Isabel's hand. Help me. Help us. And maybe we can both find out if we're still human underneath all the damage. Isabel retrieved the records. 3 boxes worth of documents. Digital files. Recorded conversations. A decade of evidence. Enough to bring down 50 people. Maybe more. They met in a parking garage. Neutral ground. Kade sent Marcus and 2 guards with Mara. For protection. Isabel arrived alone. She looked at Mara. Once I hand these over, there's no going back for either of us. I know. You sure you're ready for this? No. But I'm doing it anyway. Isabel smiled. Kade's lucky to have you. I'm the lucky one. The exchange happened quickly. Boxes loaded into the car. Isabel handed Mara a USB drive. This is the key to everything. Encryption codes. Access passwords. Guard it with your life. Mara took it. What will you do now? Disappear. Again. Somewhere they'll never find me. Or you could stay. Help us finish this. Isabel shook her head. I've done my part. The rest is up to you and Kade. She turned to leave. Then stopped. Tell him something for me, she said quietly. What? Tell him Grace would be proud. Of the man he became. Of the war he's fighting. Mara's breath caught. You knew his sister? We were friends. Before everything went wrong. Before she died. Isabel's eyes were wet. Grace used to say that good men don't choose to be good. They choose to be good anyway, even when the world punishes them for it. I think Silas is finally understanding what she meant. She walked away. Mara watched her go. Then called Kade. We have it. Everything. His relief was palpable. You okay? Yeah. Coming home now. Mara? Yeah. I love you. The words hit her like lightning. She stood in that parking garage, holding a USB drive worth millions in blackmail, surrounded by guards and danger and war, and smiled. I love you too. The evidence was damning. Kade's team spent 3 days analyzing it, building cases, identifying targets. Then they made their move. Anonymous tips to federal investigators. Evidence packages delivered to journalists. Digital leaks to whistleblower sites. Within 48 hours, the syndicate's world started crumbling. Arrests. Investigations. Asset freezes. But the syndicate didn't go down quietly. They hit back hard. Bombs at 2 of Kade's businesses. A drive-by shooting at one of his warehouses. One of his lieutenants was killed. 3 guards injured. The war escalated. Mara watched Kade transform. He barely slept, barely ate. Every decision was calculated, every move strategic. He was winning, but the cost was written on his face. One night, she found him in the library, staring at nothing. "When does it stop?" she asked quietly. "When they're gone. Or I am. There has to be another way." "There isn't." "Kade, they killed Raina today." His voice cracked. "She'd been with me for 8 years. Loyal. Brave. She had a daughter. 7 years old." Mara's heart broke. "I'm sorry. I'm the one who should be sorry. I got her killed. Just like I'm going to get everyone I care about killed." "That's not true. Isn't it?" He finally looked at her. His eyes were devastated. "Everyone who gets close to me dies, Mara. My sister. My parents. Raina. How long before it's you?" "It won't be me." "You don't know that. Neither do you." Kade stood abruptly, paced like a caged animal. "I should send you away. Right now. Tonight." "You won't." "Why not?" "Because you need me. Just like I need you." "That's not enough. It's all we have." The words echoed in the silence. Kade stopped pacing, looked at her. "I'm so tired, Mara. Tired of fighting. Tired of losing people. Tired of being the monster everyone thinks I am." Mara crossed the room, wrapped her arms around him. "You're not a monster. You're a man fighting a war you didn't start. A man trying to protect the people he loves. I don't know if that makes it better or worse. It makes it human." They stood there, holding each other while the world burned around them. "Do you think love can survive this kind of war?" The syndicate's leadership made one last play. A meeting. Neutral ground. Final negotiations. Kade knew it was a trap. He went anyway. "If I don't come back," he started. Mara cut him off. "You're coming back." "Mara. No. I'm not having this conversation. You're coming back because you promised. Because we're not done yet. Because I refuse to accept any other outcome." Kade pulled her close, kissed her like it might be the last time. "I love you," he whispered. "Remember that? Whatever happens. I love you too. Now go finish this so we can have a life." The meeting was in an abandoned warehouse. Classic. Kade brought 10 men. The syndicate brought 20. Their leader, a man named Victor Cross, sat across the table. "Old money. Old power. Old hatred. This war has cost both of us," Victor said. "I'm proposing we end it." "On what terms?" "You leave the city. Take your operations elsewhere. We forget this ever happened." Kade smiled coldly. "No. No. You tried to kill me. You targeted someone I love. You murdered people under my protection. There's no forgiveness for that. No truce. No walking away." Victor's face hardened. "Then you're a dead man." "Maybe. But I'm taking you with me." Chaos erupted. Guns drawn. Shots fired. Kade's men were outnumbered, but better trained. The battle was brutal. Fast. Deadly. When the smoke cleared, 12 men were dead. Kade was still standing. So was Victor. They faced each other across the warehouse floor. Both injured. Both determined. "You can't win," Victor said, blood dripping from a wound in his side. "Even if you kill me, the syndicate will continue. Not without leadership. Not without money. Not without power." Kade raised his gun. "I've destroyed everything you built. Your empire is ashes. This is just cleanup. You think you're the hero of this story? No. I'm just the man who refused to die quietly." He pulled the trigger. Kade came home at dawn, covered in blood, exhausted, victorious. Mara was waiting. She didn't ask questions, just helped him to the bathroom, cleaned his wounds, held him while he shook from adrenaline and relief and grief. "It's over," he finally said. "Is it?" "The syndicate's leadership is dead. Their operations are exposed. What's left will fracture and collapse. It's over." Mara pressed her forehead to his. "Then what happens now?" "Now we figure out how to live without constantly looking over our shoulders." "Do you know how to do that?" "No. But I want to learn." The next weeks were strange. The war was over, but its ghosts remained. Funerals for fallen men. Rebuilding burned businesses. Testifying to federal investigators about the evidence they'd leaked. Kade started pulling back from his darker operations. Legitimizing what could be legitimized. Shutting down what couldn't. It wasn't redemption, but it was change. Mara watched him try to become someone new, and loved him more for the attempt. 1 month after the final battle, Kade took her to a cemetery outside the city. 2 headstones, side by side. Grace Westbrook, and her daughter, Emma, who died 6 months after her mother from the same genetic condition. Kade hadn't visited in 5 years. I couldn't before, he said quietly. Couldn't face what I'd become, what I'd failed to protect. Mara took his hand. You were 17. You couldn't have saved them. I know that now, but I spent 10 years punishing myself anyway. They stood in silence. Then Kade spoke again. Grace used to say that everyone deserves a second chance. I never believed her. Thought some things were too broken to fix. And now, he looked at Mara. Now I think maybe she was right. Maybe we're all more salvageable than we think. 6 months later, Mara stood in an art gallery in Soho. Her gallery, funded by Kade, designed by her, a space for struggling artists to show their work without the gatekeeping of the traditional art world. It was opening night. The place was packed. Collectors, critics, artists whose work deserved to be seen. Kade arrived late, still in a suit from a business meeting, still carrying the weight of his past, but smiling, actually smiling. You did this, he said, looking around. We did this. No, this is all you. Your vision, your heart. Mara leaned into him. My vision, your belief in me. They watched people move through the space, appreciating art, buying pieces, changing lives. Do you ever regret it? Kade asked quietly. That day in the meeting, collapsing, everything that came after? Mara thought about it. The fear, the violence, the uncertainty, but also the love, the growth, the man standing beside her who'd become her home. No, she said. Do you regret helping me? Every day I thank God I was in that room. Even though it almost got you killed? Even though, because it also gave me a reason to stay alive. They stayed until the gallery closed, then walked home through the city. Not running, not hiding, just living. Late at night, the penthouse was quiet. Mara found Kade in the library, writing in one of his books. More confessions? She asked. He smiled. Different kind this time. Can I read it? He handed her the book. She read his latest note. I used to think salvation was for people who deserved it, people who'd lived good lives and made good choices. I was wrong. Salvation is for people who've lived bad lives and decided to choose differently. And sometimes salvation comes in the form of a woman who collapses during a meeting and teaches you that being broken doesn't mean being beyond repair. Mara's eyes filled with tears. You're not broken anymore, she whispered. Neither are you. We're both still damaged. But we're healing. Together. That's enough. Kade pulled her close, kissed her forehead. I never told you this, he said quietly. But that day you collapsed. I was planning to leave. Walk away from everything. Maybe end it all. I was so tired of being who I was. What changed? You fell. And suddenly I had a reason to stay. Something to protect. Someone who saw me and didn't see a monster. You saved me. We saved each other. They stood there in the library surrounded by books filled with confessions and secrets and pain. And for the first time in either of their lives, they felt whole. Mara never forgot the day she collapsed. The hunger, the fear, the desperation. But she also never forgot the day she woke up in a stranger's home and found something she'd stopped believing existed. Hope. Not the naive kind that believes everything works out, but the hard-won kind that knows life is brutal and unfair and beautiful anyway. The kind that knows love doesn't fix everything, but it makes everything worth fighting for. The end. She collapsed during a meeting and became a Mafia boss's responsibility. But more than that, she became his salvation, and he became hers. Because sometimes the most dangerous thing you can do is care about someone, and sometimes that danger is the only thing worth living for. This is their story. Broken people finding each other in the darkness, and choosing to build something beautiful from the wreckage. What would you choose? Safety or love? Survival or meaning? Maybe like them, you don't have to choose just one. Like, comment, share and subscribe for more videos.